Hello everyone, this is Starhill Global REIT's third quarter FY 23-24 business update dated 29 April 2024. Right, this is not a non-DPU update. Alright, so if you are here for that, I have nothing really much for you lah. Okay, I won't really go through the all these points because I think not much has changed or not significant enough for me to talk about it. Right, just talk a little bit about occupancy is high at 98%. You see that actually it's 100% across the board except for Australia later. Right, and gearing is 37.2%, slightly up from earlier, and we'll discuss in more depth why this is so later. Right, so these numbers are as of 31st March 2024, the end of their Q3 FY 23-24. Right, you can see that gross revenue is up 0.7% year on year. That means comparing this quarter against the same quarter, the same period last financial year. Right, net property income is down 0.9%, but this doesn't really tell the full story. Later on, you'll see that actually Singapore properties are carrying the REIT, and the overseas properties are generally underperforming. Right, the rest not too much to say. Right, so financial highlights. Right, we talked about revenue being up slightly. Right, mainly due to contributions from Singapore properties, okay, partially offset by weaker foreign currency and loss of income from the Japanese divestment they did quite recently. Okay, NPI is up by 0.9% year on year. Lower by 0.9% year on year. Right, mainly due to foreign currencies being weaker and higher operating expenses. Right, which is plaguing most REITs these days lah. Okay, occupancy is high. No need to talk about that. All right. Tenant sales and shopper sales at Wisma Atria in third quarter FY 23-24 improved year on year by 6.5% and 12.7%. Right, so clearly this is a good thing. Right, that means this financial year third quarter is better than the last by 6.5% in terms of sales. Right, I think this is the most important figure. But of course, shopper traffic going up is also a good thing. Right, unfortunately, this one is going up more than this one. Right, so we actually prefer this to be higher. Right, if we compare this with the last presentation slides, which was reporting for first half FY 23-24 versus the last first half of FY 22-23, right, that period of the shop tenant sales improved by 7.8% and shopper traffic improved by 5.8%. Right, so last set of results was slightly better lah, because tenant sales I think is the key thing. Right, you want the tenant to sell more so that they can make more money and pay more rent. Right, shopper traffic is I mean, it's a good thing that it goes up, but we care more about tenant sales. Right, so they also say that there's ongoing works in the basement which is completed by February 2024, so likely that moving forward the Wisma number should be better. Right, because now the basement is operational moving forward from February 2024 onwards. So next quarter report we should see the kick in from at least the full kick in from this basement being operational. Right, also the phase 2 works in Australia is likely to be completed in March 2024. It's already completed in March 2024. Alright, so these two have been completed and both were likely to contribute better results for fourth quarter. Okay, so gearing, we talked about it. Alright, 77% of the REIT's borrowings is fixed and hedged as of 31st March 2024. Right, they have enough money to cover debts maturing until June 2025. Right, so at least for one more year, they don't have to worry about money. Okay, so we look at the financial performance. Right, you can see that it's really a tale of different countries. Right, Ngee Ann City and Wisma Atria, which are the Singapore properties, right, they have both gone up in terms of gross revenue as well as NPI. Right, the overseas properties, Australia and Malaysia, are underperforming. Alright, both gross revenue and NPI are down. Right, others is too small lah. Anyway, it's flattish. Right, so revenue is flat. Okay, NPI is up slightly. Okay, so basically it's Singapore is carrying the portfolio. That's the summary. Right, so then we look at their debt profile. Right, so you can see that this financial year, which is like almost over, alright, so they have a little bit more debt to clear. Then next financial year, it's pretty well spaced out. Right, and anyway, for one more year at least they have money to take care of their debt. Alright, so it's not so much whether they can refinance, but more how much they refinance at. Right, so we look at their interest coverage ratio adjusted is 2.9 times. Right, you can see not super ideals. Right, we look at adjusted because this includes the perpetual security. Right, so this one is not so relevant because it only includes their borrowings without perpetual securities, right? So we always look at adjusted interest coverage ratio, right? Their average interest rate is at 3.86%, all right, and yeah, so this is quite good comparing to things like FCT. I think FCT is above 4%, right? So yeah, I just want to compare their current gearing versus their initial gearing. So the last time they reported the numbers, right, their gearing was 36.8%, right? Their total debt was 1044 million, right? If I include their 100 million perpetual securities, right, into this number, is a number that is here, right? So when I take this one, which includes perpetual securities, divide by total debt, multiplied by their gearing reported as of 31st December 2023, right? This is their gearing with perpetual securities, 40.3%. Right, this of 31st December 2023, right? Their current gearing is actually reported to be 37.2%, right? So again, I do the same thing. I multiply by total debt plus perpetual securities and divided by total debt, all right? And that gives me 40.7%, right? Slightly higher than this one, right? Just as the gearing is slightly higher than the initial one, right? For those of you who are worried about the asset devaluation, I actually did a calculation for that as well back end using these two numbers, right? And also, of course, I compared this with 31st December 2024, right? I realized the asset value seemed to have dropped by about $7 million. But if you divide it by their total assets of $2+ billion, right, it's actually something like less than 1%. In fact, it's something like 0.25% drop, right? So I'm not too worried about asset quality deterioration for the REIT at this point. Okay, so I think the rest, the Toshin Master Lease has been renewed and will expire in a very long time later, June 2043. Alright, and yeah, the rest I won't talk too much about. Yeah, you can see that everything is 100% except for Australia, right, which is 95%, which is still okay-ish, but performance-wise, in terms of revenue and MPI, is going down. Okay, leases are all very long, but mainly it's for the retail side. Okay, the office side is quite well spread out. Alright, then yeah, I don't think I will talk too much more. Alright, that roughly ends the presentation. Right, thank you for listening.